Welcome to the Skin Deep Podcast. I'm your host, Chanel Dupree. Community, communication, and collective decisions help to make Montgall Avenue historic. Miss Gwen said it best. It was the people that made Montgall Avenue special. Thank you for tuning in to the second and last part of our interview with Miss Gwen, a 92-year resident of Montgall Avenue. The folks on the block were able to achieve tremendous things in the middle of segregation and Jim Crow and all of the different barriers that they faced. Let's listen.
I was one of the first two black hired by Southwestern Bell in Kansas City. And another lady from Kansas City, Kansas, Patricia Smith. She and I started together.
And what year was that? Do you remember?
That was in December of 59.
December of 59. And so how was that experience for
And
you?
We started in the mailroom, both of us. Then they moved us to mail tellers where we processed the incoming payments. And after, I can't remember how many years now, we were both offered service rep job promotions. But I didn't really want the service rep because back then everything was sales. And if somebody called in, I can't pay my phone bill, you're supposed to try to sell them something,
Wow.
Well, anyway, so then I got promoted to window teller in the public office where I waited on customers coming in person. And so I was in teller department for 12 years, and then I was promoted to the engineering department. And that's where I retired from in 1989.
A year after your parents passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been hard. And so you were there for?
I was 5 months short of 30 years.
30 years.
So I've been August the 1st, I will be retired 36 years.
So you've been retired longer than you worked.
And I used to talk about people that, because I got involved in the Telephone Pioneers organization, which is a community service organization.
Okay.
I was secretary of everything. It's like the clubs, and the clubs are by work locations because the phone company has garages and offices all over town. So I was with the downtown club, and I ended up being the secretary of that. And then I was on the clubs. The officers of the clubs are members of the council. And then there's various committees. So when I first got into Pioneers, I ended up on the council as a committee person.
Okay.
And then I ended up being council secretary for a couple of years.
Wow.
And then when I retired, I was a life member club for secretary for 21 years.
Wow.
And then we also they started a bass fishing club. And my husband and I were some of the very first members. And I ended up being the secretary-treasurer for 22 years.
Wow. That is amazing. So tell me what was your husband's name?
His name was Manuel Maurice Calderon.
Mr. Calderon. And how long were you all married for?
We were together like 36 years.
36 years.
But we were married for 21.
Okay. So tell me your relationship with Miss Bluford.
Oh, we were very close friends, and like I say, she lived directly across the street from my folks' house.
Okay.
And and then we belong, the Blufords, the Pittmans, Brady and I, and the Herndons all belonged to St. Augustine's Episcopal Church.
Okay.
So Lucille and I were in the same church, and then sometime after church, she and Paul Pittman and I would have breakfast together.
Do you have any favorite memories that you want to share of your street, Montgall Avenue?
Our block was always beautiful. most of the people had beautiful flowers and stuff, and just about it, even the ones that didn't have flowers, they had beautiful lawns. And it's a southern thing, but my dad would start at one end of the block, and Mr. Gamble lived the last house on the other end. And every summer they whitewashed the tree trunks. And it was something they mixed up with lye. It was something, like I said, it was a southern thing. Actually, what it was for, it deterred some kind of beetle that would kill trees or something. So they would whitewash the trees about 6 feet up or something. And we had big elm trees, and they just formed an arch over the street. And Daddy always said the sun never hit the pavement on Montgall. And it was always cool in the summertime, because the sun didn't come through.
Right.
But they would whitewash the trees on both sides, and there was a lady that I knew after I was grown. And she said when she was young, she would ride her bicycle through our block. And she always said when she grew up, she was going to have a beautiful yard like the people on Montgall.
Yeah.
And that was my father. His hobby was flowers.
Really?
Especially roses and dahlias. And people would come from all over town just to look at his yard every summer. Rose and I started counting rose bushes one time, and we got to like 120, and we stopped counting.
Wow. So it was a massive garden.
Yeah, he had, and like I said, that house had a large backyard.
Okay.
So he had the whole backyard.
Sounds like it was probably
and then
therapeutic
he bought
as well.
the house next door, and he had a vegetable garden and flower gardens behind the house. But when he bought the house next door, he put the vegetable garden over there, and then the other yard was just total flowers.
Wow.
The front and the back.
Okay. Your father was serious. Professional gardener.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So that's one of your favorite memories.
And then I used to, like, sometimes they couldn't find me. and I'd be in somebody's house, or if it was in the summertime, I'd be on somebody's porch. Or
yeah, so you were like a child of the neighborhood.
Yeah, and well, people in the block, we called aunt and uncle, or we called them by their first name or whatever. So
I wanted to ask you about community. So because it feels like what you've been talking about is just the beauty of the community that you grew up in and around. And my question really is about, what about today? So do you have thoughts on how to build a stronger community so that we don't have some of the issues that we currently have?
Well, like I said, we were like one big family, and everybody helped everybody, and we just got along. And like now, I'm the last of which would be like the third generation of the original people in the block. And so far, most of the new neighbors, they're nice, and we get along and stuff. But there's like 2 houses that have new people that I haven't met yet.
Okay.
And one lady across the street, and then 2 ladies 2 doors up. We've gotten, to be friendly.
Okay.
And
why do you think having a close-knit community is important, or why was it important for you growing up?
Well, we hardly ever saw a police car in our block. And when we did, like the other day, I was on the porch and one just went through. And I mean, it was just always peaceful. And we didn't have any outside problems for a while. Now, there's a lot of prostitutes on Prospect. Every now and then, some of them will come through. And at one time, there were 2 houses north of me that were vacant, and the same man owned both of them. And he rented it out to somebody first, and then after they left, he turned it over to somebody, and they were trying to make a party house out of it.
Oh, wow.
Because every Friday, this lady would come and unload all this liquor and stuff and carry it in. Anyway, the neighbors got rid of that real quick. And then we harassed the police department. And then later on, they had a dope house there. And it lasted 2 weeks.
That wasn't a long dope house. 2 weeks. So how did y'all get it out? The neighbors.
The neighbors said,
Yeah, we see what's happening, and it's not going to happen in our neighborhood. Yeah. Okay. So there's really strength behind a community that decides to come together.
You get united that way, and you can get things like that done. You don't
good.
Just sit and go, oh, well, that's going on over there, and just sit and look at it.
Yeah, because
but
it impacts you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
It's your neighborhood.
So if you get several people together, reporting things, then you can get things done, get things cleaned up.
I love it. Gathering people together. So as we conclude, thank you, Miss Gwen, for just spending some time and talking to us, and me getting to hear directly from you. As I mentioned, I learned about you through the book, Kansas City's Montgall Avenue, because you are on this cover. You're on the cover, you and your sister.
Me and my sister Rosie, and she's the one next to me.
Okay.
This teddy bear is sitting on my sofa right now.
You still have it.
He's 89 years old. I got him when I was 3.
Wow. That is amazing.
And she lost hers somewhere.
You didn't have to tell on her.
But Teddy is sitting on my sofa right now, along with my last doll. And she's not quite as old. I don't remember how old I was when I got her. But they're sitting on my sofa.
So, do you have any kind of final reflections? So the people that will be listening to this are people who work with families. They work to help keep families together when things maybe aren't going so great. And so,
well, the children in our block, we were everybody's children. And it was like we had all these parents. Yeah. Everybody in the block was our parents.
Yeah.
And we didn't dare do anything. Lucille Bluford had a peach tree in her backyard, and every year would have one peach on it. And Willa Herndon lived next door at the time, and she caught me taking that peach. Now that's 4 doors up the street from my house. And before I got home, she was on the phone and called my mother. So, I mean, that's, like I said, all the neighbors were our parents.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
but I wouldn't have loved that as a child. But as a parent now.
Yeah, so we all had to behave.
That's right. That's so good. And so there's something to learn in that, in having community, like intentionally developing people who love your children around you so that they can be supported and nurtured and pushed in the right direction versus just letting them out here doing.
And the different neighbors, would talk to, like I said, I was always in somebody's house.
Let me ask you a question, because about developing trust with communities that have reason at times not to trust. So when we think about the era that you grew up in, it was segregation, it was Jim Crow, you saw discrimination. You may not have experienced it in some settings, but I'm assuming people around you definitely experienced some things.
Well, other than the bombings,
Okay.
Because like we really didn't have any interaction or friendships develop or anything with any of the white neighbors.
Okay.
The only thing was the house on the next street behind my folks. We had a swing set in our backyard, and their little girl would come across the alley. She'd stand there and just watch and watch, and so we invited her to come over, and she'd come over and swing, and her mother would come out and call her name and said, "Get over here, don't be over there with those N-words."
Wow.
And she'd go back home, and then she'd go and she'd be standing back there in the alley.
Wow.
And she'd wait until she thought her mother wasn't looking. She'd sneak back across.
Wow.
But
that's just
other
what
than
it
was.
that how did you, was there a culture of trust for, like, the black folks that live on Montgall dealing with, others that didn't look like them, so white folks and other folks? How was that trust developed or cultivated?
Well, I don't know. Just the individual people
Relations,
yeah.
And so when you started working at Southwestern Bell, you were one of the first.
Yeah, there was just two of us.
There were just two of you. And so I'm assuming you had to then develop some relationships at work. Or
yeah,
how did that work?
In fact, when I go home now, I've got to call one of my friends from the phone company.
Yeah.
Call me, and I've got to call her back.
And you did.
And she's white.
Yeah.
I mean, we do things together, and there's several people from work.
Yeah.
That I just was friends with, and several of them had passed away.
But you developed those relationships, by just getting to know the person,
right?
Having conversations, right. Okay.
And I never really had any incidents. The only thing was the lunchroom was on the same floor that the information operators were on, and so I used to, take my lunch, and I'd take a book or some needlework or something, So I'm sitting there eating my lunch and reading a book, and there was a table like over there, and it was a big round table, so there was like maybe 6 or 7 operators over there. And this one lady, somehow or other, they started talking about how they had used to have concerts in the park in the summertime. And I guess she lived in northeast areas or something, or the north end of town or something. And so she was saying that they had the concerts up toward Admiral Boulevard or something in the center of Paseo. And she said, but we used to go down on 15th Street, which is Truman Road now, on 15th Street where the N-words had it, because they had the best music, and we used to go down there and dance. And she kept talking about this, and she kept saying this and using that word, and she kept getting louder and louder. And I knew what she was trying to do. She was trying to get to me, because she thought I was going to jump up and make a big scene. And I just kept sitting there eating and reading my book. And I finally finished, and I just got up and walked out. And every time she would come in the office to pay her bill, she never would come to my window, and she'd look at me and roll her eyes.
You keep saying that there weren't instances, but then you keep talking about instances of things happening. I just want to call that out. I think you process it differently. Like, it's just like a part of an experience, but it doesn't shape the entire experience.
Right.
Like, you have a very positive disposition and memory of your time.
But like I had when I was a window teller, there were certain people that came in and paid their bill every month, and certain people would just always come to my window and get it. If I didn't have a line of people or something, and get in a conversation, they just stay there and talk.
You have had such a beautiful array of experiences. Any final thoughts that you want to share?
Well, I'm just glad that the story of Montgall has been released because it was a special place.
Thank you so much, Miss Gwen, for spending some time with me today. And thank you for going deep. Thank you for going deep.
Well, it was my pleasure.
If you are interested in learning more about the family history in America and how the child welfare system was even built, I want to invite you to dive into the online and on-demand Skin Deep, the History of Child Welfare by Race course. Because you're coming from the Skin Deep podcast community, I'll have a special discount code for you in the show notes below. Let's dive deeper on behalf of families.